It's been 453 days since now 16-year-old Sebastian Rogers vanished from his home in Hendersonville. His disappearance sparked national headlines, but now his father says the case is losing momentum. With National Missing Children's Day coming up on Sunday, he is raising his voice and demanding urgency. News 2's Caitlin.
I went and talked to neighbors, and every single one of them, every single one, welcomed me. And if they had video surveillance, they gave it to me. The only person that would not talk to me, as the only person that had something to hide and wouldn't talk to me. You know, she has a son that's hiding and waiting for somebody in the dark, late night on the 25th. And there needs to be some explaining for that. I'll just leave it at that.
That we are going to keep searching, we are going to keep looking, we are going to find him, and we are going to bring him home.
Since we first aired the video last month, authorities have said no evidentiary value.
It is of no evidentiary value. It is of no evidentiary value.
Can you tell me what those lights are?
No,
Why?
because the investigation remains ongoing.
Yeah, I'm working on behalf of Sebastian. I am not, my client is Sebastian, and they're the guardians that have the ability to sign.
It just started. Hi, Dad. I know this is gonna sound weird, but tomorrow's picture day. So could you send some decent clothes over to me so that I can wear the decent clothes and be handsome for my birthday with decent clothes? Mom.
Because our heart is missing. He is my world. I need him. I need him back with me.
And I would just say thank you to everyone and anyone that is a part of that. Is a part of that.
It's much to bear and you don't care, and I won't play alone. I got you in my sight. I keep all the words you said to me. I get you on your knees. Rewrite all the things you said that I should be. I'll get you now you're back.
All right, welcome everybody. Happy Monday. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Big show. 1 second. Let me turn down my phone. Okay. All right. So, major updates and all that good stuff. As always, thank you to everybody that could support the fundraiser. It went well over our expectations. Please do not try to donate anymore or send me Venmos via the fundraiser part of it. I've still had a few people send me some stuff for the Sebastian thing. And of course, it's much appreciated, but, you know, I certainly don't want to go over, you know, what we were prepared to spend on certain things. And so, yeah. But anyway, lots to go over. So much. But I told you guys, you know, that you would find out in a couple weeks. Now, of course, we did that on purpose so we could conduct these tests in secret, so there weren't any looky-loos. So it has been conducted and done. But this is only phase 1. There is many more phases to go. And of course, we will go over that. I know there's a lot of drama going on. And of course, they want that attention. And, usually I ignore that stuff. I will address a few things on that. But, yeah. But again, such amazing thing that we did. Just absolutely amazing. And then, of course, have people like this that think it's a joke, right? But no, it was used. Of course, we have more. Yeah, I am literally probably going to have to speak to a couple people about, whether what they want to do with some stuff that they sent me recently. 'Cause I'm like, yeah, we'll get into that later, but yeah. But again, I'm a grifter, right? I'm denying money, but I'm a grifter. Makes perfect sense. But anyway, so I just want to address a couple things. Of course, no surprise at all. Once we knew that, SF's coming around again, that it would be involved. He would be involved with Sebastian somehow. And there's apparently this report that got leaked online. I don't know much about it. Obviously, we've got so much stuff that we're doing. We're not paying attention to this stuff. Whether it's true or not, I don't know. I don't know. Is there any video or photo evidence of it? Again, I'm not saying it's not true. I have no idea. I do know that there's some very interesting stuff if it's true in there, but at the same time, is it true or not? Because obviously a lot of people are looking at this part here where he allegedly conducted a search that he coordinated. So keep in mind, apparently he wasn't there, but he coordinated it, right? And again, it's in the report. You can read it. Again, it's half of it's redacted, and again, we're not really focused on this, but of course, this is kind of making the rounds, and of course, it's been sent to me like crazy. And of course, one of the few things you'll notice here in the red, so they searched around the construction area last year in April, I believe. So it's just kind of interesting, why is this being released now? Is this trying to, because we're doing some searches now that they need to get the attention, right? Again, this is all, Sebastian's the main thing, he's the most important thing, not who needs to get the attention light or whatever. But anyway, also in this, it says in a few of these that there's areas determined to have positive hits on human decomposition, odor, or potential remains. But then when I was reading a little bit more in the report, it didn't mention that. Now, I could be missing, again, I only briefed through it, so I don't know. Correct me if I'm wrong in chat, but so obviously people are going to freak out if he puts this out and they see, oh, there's potential. But either way, it doesn't matter. If this is true, then you'd be like, well, this is interesting because this is, at least one of these areas is the construction site area. And I believe they searched near the cemetery as well. But then, now they're, giving us shit for searching the cemetery. Yet this is all right next door to each other. So it's like, am I in the Twilight Zone right now? This is bizarre world. So anyway, here's part of the report. Again, I think you can find it on Twitter. Be careful. I think you have to click on a Dropbox links. I don't trust anything that he puts out that has a link to it, so be careful when you do that, please. But anyway, again, I'm not here to criticize whether it's true or not. We've got our own thing going on. But anyway. Donna, do you think he copied Chris? I just the timing of it's interesting, right? You know, like here we're gearing up, you know, and of course we told everybody that, you know, it was going to take a couple weeks to do what we were going to do. Obviously, that was, you know, to be so when our people came out, they could do it, you know, without any looky-loos or any kind of, you know, drama or, you know, whatever. We just wanted to be able to bring our professionals out, let them do their thing, and then get out of there without, you know, any issues. And it went smoothly for anybody wondering, and we will get into that here in a bit, but I just kind of wanted to address this. But now I talked about this in my last live, which correlates with what SF also put out last year in regards to the canine scent. You know, the original trackers from, you know, that first day one, right, on the 26th. And, you know, there was Max that went into the first retention pond, and then there was the second dog that was allegedly scent specific, which is this canine here. And the reason I bring this up, because if true, this is kind of interesting because we can see where that dog went. That dog did kind of follow the path that the original, well, let's be honest, I think Max was dropped off at this spot. So Max, the first dog, he didn't track up here, right? He was just dropped off, the very first dog, if I recall. And then he just went to the pond. This dog that we're showing here, he was let loose. He went up, or actually, he didn't go up killing. He kind of went back through here and then cut over. So I don't know if he actually may have actually went up here and then cut over. But anyway, regardless, the second dog, so this was Max, and I guess I should have, but it's not a big deal. I think he was just started up here. But the second dog, this one here, he went towards the other retention pond, and we could see that in the footage. And again, this will all come together here. This is where it gets like Twilight Zone, because, you know, here you got their PI saying, yeah, you know, look at all this potential evidence that he's over here in the construction, you know, there's potential hits or whatever. And then with this other report, kind of further allegedly confirms or whatever their theory, right? And then we have our stuff that we found in the cemetery, which literally you could throw a stone from where, you know, they're trying to claim he ended up at one point, and they think it's all nonsense. And it's like, again, it's right there. Like, how would you not think this would be this would just kind of line up with what you're trying to go with? So it's really bizarre. It's just absolutely bizarre. But here's some footage that I threw in, and I've shown this before. This is that scent-specific dog that cut through. We're not going to watch the entire thing. I kind of got it fast forward, but again, this is not Max. This is the dog after Max that showed up a little after 8 a.m. that morning. And there they are. And they eventually end up in the construction zone. Now, we follow them. And again, it starts to get harder and harder to see them as they get kind of further out. But they definitely, maybe in a future live, I'll show the difference between Max and this dog, where Max all of a sudden just cuts down this embankment here, which the square retention pond or rectangle, whatever, is sitting just right here. But as you can see, he goes down that little highway, you know, that they had for the which would really kind of turn into Willow Bend, I believe. But But yeah, very interesting. Here is another shot of it, more wide shot. And again, I know it's hard to see. There's the officers on the horseback, but you can't see them. And again, it's just little pixels here and there, because we're looking 200 yards out or so. But they go again. So let me just pause it right here. Max cuts down this embankment, which is the square retention pond. This guy or this dog and the handler, they go down the highway. I just call it the highway. The little dirt road they have, which technically leads towards the triangle retention pond, which is pretty fascinating. And then, of course, after that, we can't really see what's going on. But again, it's very interesting that dog went that way. And of course, what's right there? All this activity we found in the cemetery. So again, coincidence? Maybe. I think there's just way too many coincidences. Okay. Now, I know, excuse me. I know everybody wants to find out what we did today, and we will. I just kind of wanted to let everybody kind of roll in here. If you can, please hit that like button. A lot of information and stuff we're going to go over and what's next. But I thought I would address just a little bit, because people keep emailing me, about, these past few lives that Crispy has been on, and alleged threats and whatnot. And so I just thought I would address a little bit of it. Of course, I don't want to give them time of day, because that's just, in my opinion, what they want. But I just thought I would play just a little bit of it, just so that way I don't get more emails, wondering if I've heard about this. So yes, I have heard the threat, alleged threat, whatever you want to call it. I'll let you guys listen to it. It's just I cut it down to 2 minutes, but there's a couple things that I just find very fascinating and just backwards. So trigger warning, although I did try to edit out the cussing because I guess, he doesn't have a very big vocabulary, and every other word, it's got to be a cuss word. So here is part of that live that happened 2 nights ago, I think, something like that. But I did try to kind of eliminate the swear words in a particular manner.
Look, River House is trying to get anybody up. Get on panel, Chris Haters, Mob Crew, get up here. Where you at?
We need to turn the flashlight on for him so he can.
He can find his way. The only way to get Mob Crew over here is fucking pointing flashlights all over the place.
So I guess flashlights are funny, and surveillance footage that has flashlights in it that are in regards to your son's case. I guess that's funny to them. I don't know. I think that's pretty disgusting myself. But then it's pretty ironic because...
Well, tell him I'll run outside with a flashlight right now if it helps him.
He'll track it down for next year. He'll grift off that flashlight for the next year.
But then, it's kind of funny. I guess they forgot that they went and did that test where they ran around with flashlights. I don't know if you remember. I guess that kind of crossed their mind. Or didn't cross their mind, excuse me. But yeah, you guys were running around with flashlights last year, or gosh, it's weird now that we're in the new year. Over a year ago, where you allegedly tried to claim that the neighbor was the one taking out the trash can with his flashlight when it was really just you guys, in my opinion. It's pretty pathetic, but anyway. Yes, Sassy. I'm only doing this to address it, so because I keep getting emails. I've been getting emails for like the last 3 or 4 days, and I appreciate it because people are. And then, of course, I'm just gonna turn it upside down on them, right, and just show them how ridiculous this is. So I'm gonna play just a couple more clips.
Oh, I'll tell her. Real simple.
See that
You
little
chicken
bitch?
shit motherfucker. Get your ass off
I'm sorry. I'm babysitting some dogs. Quiet down back there.
behind your fucking computer. Bring your ass out here and let's go and walk and let's look at where you think what you think you see is. I'd be more than happy to walk with your ass, but you got to get out behind your fucking keyboard first, bitch.
Okay, so I think this is like the 4th or 5th time he's offered for me to have to go and walk with him. I don't know, it's kind of weird now, maybe buy me dinner first, but yeah, he's offered that so many times now I've lost count. But this is the best part. This is why, again, I'm just turning this upside down on them, right? You got to turn this nonsense to, flip it on them, right? Other than that, just not give them the time of day. But this is the funny part, right? So he offers me to come out once again, right? But, again, because, I don't know, maybe not so bright, but literally, and I'm not kidding, 2 minutes later, this happens. So he just offered me to come out with him. I guess he's an expert in surveillance now. I didn't know that. I wish I would have known that earlier, Crispy. Or I think you may have forgot that there's a thing called Google Earth, Google Maps. We can look at the neighborhood. We can walk up and down your street anytime we want. I can show you how to do it if you want, Crispy. See, you just kind of go to Google right here, and you just kind of click there, and you just kind of scroll in, and you click on the little Google man here, and yeah, look at that. I'm walking down your street right now. Again, I just, just in case you didn't know, because it sounds like it, yeah. But anyway, 2 minutes later, after the invite.
Well, just know, and I'm telling you flat out,
We want the fucking receipts.
he can do whatever the fuck he wants. But I'm going to tell you just like I've told everybody else. You set foot on my fucking property, one fucking hair. Not only will you be trespassed, but you better pray to God they get here before I can get my hands on you.
So you just offered me to come out, and now apparently if I come out, you're going to get your hands on me. I'm shaking in my boots, Crispy. You hear those little dogs barking in the background? Sorry, guys. Anyway, that's what I hear when he's talking. That's what I hear, just little chihuahuas, barking, right? Anyway, but here's the statement. Holy shit, why don't you read the room, guys? Read the effing room. We just did a huge fundraiser in the name of Sebastian Rogers. Got out there with professional canine cadaver dogs and ground penetrating radar. All in the name of Sebastian Rogers. X that out. A community came together in less than 30 minutes and raised over $2,000 for Sebastian Rogers. Just that in general. And this is what you're worried about. Right? This is the response. Read the room, man. Anyway, and then just one more thing, and then I'll get to the updates. I thought this was hilarious. Yes, this last little quote is in the same show.
Live and thrive off of drama instead of being an adult. It's just, why don't you come face to face and have a meeting or talk to somebody?
live and thrive and all this drama, and why don't you just be an adult? Yes, that quote was in the same live show. I literally, my jaw dropped to the floor when I heard that. I could not believe it. Because that's what I'm thinking in my head, like the entire time, that I could stand, like, digest about 15 minutes of it. And then I'm just like, I mean, all we're doing is tearing other people down. Like, how does that happen? How does that help Sebastian? Anyway, so that way I know, usually don't give these people the time of day, but I thought I would address that just because, people have kept emailing me about that. So, believe me, I'm not worried about any of that nonsense, right? But that is documented, and again, could be used in the future, maybe in a grand jury. You guys aren't very smart, which tells me this case will be solved. Yeah. So anyway, and the last thing I just want to say, we got these people, if you heard, Bumblebee there, say, we want the receipts. You ain't entitled to shit. The only people that are entitled to receipts are the 55 donations or donators, and then also the Venmo people. I'd have to add those up as well. I'm trying to do one thing at a time, but those people that donated, those are the people that are entitled to that. Nobody else. Mob Crew fam and those who donated, and that's it. You people act like you're entitled to shit like this. Absolutely blows my mind. Crazy. Don't you worry though. You get your calculators out. I'll let you know when that live show is, and you can get your little calculators, and we'll get that all squared away. But yeah, why don't you guys read the room, man? Holy shit.
Scene here is another.
I appreciate that. Okay, so to kind of get into why we're so kind of concerned with a certain area and why we brought in certain professionals, I'm going to play this clip. There's going to be two clips. I will do a recap for anybody that's kind of new. It's the one recap that I have about 3 minutes. This one's about a minute or two. But this is very important too about what I'm going to tell you what we did this morning and why we're, doing this. And yeah. So I'm going to go full screen. I appreciate the no receipts then. No, we'll do, of course, we're going to do receipts. Probably, I'm not sure, maybe Wednesday or Thursday. I got to, make sure I got most of them about ready, but we're kind of waiting on the GPR people. Like I have some receipts from them, but we're kind of hoping for a nice bill statement, just a little bit. But anyway, just to get a little snarky Chris out of there. But now it's time to get, serious and stuff. So I'm going to go full screen for just a minute. Please hit that like button, guys. And here we go.
End of the cemetery in this location. Shown here is the exact location the headlights were seen. Notice how the road isn't very wide. I also figured out that the headlights captured at 3:45 and 3:49 a.m. are at two different heights seen here. Notice when putting a static line in same spot, one light is higher up than the other one, meaning there were at least two different vehicles driving around the cemetery on the night before Sebastian Rogers disappeared on the 25th. So what were they doing, and how did the memorial site light up?
Okay, here we go. So, get this. This is a picture of the GPR that we used this morning. We brought out GPR services, which is not cheap. And then we also brought out a canine cadaver dog. We did this discreetly, as like I said, we kind of passed it off as if we were going to be doing it a couple of weeks, or within 2 weeks. But we wanted to kind of make sure that there wasn't any kind of disturbance, with what they're doing. So anyway, mic check. Mic check. Can you hear me? I wonder if when I switch back. Okay, sound. Okay, you have sound. Okay, do you guys have sound now? I wonder if it's when I switch back from my full screen. Okay, we're good. Yeah, it's not muted. It must be either it's YouTube or it's because I thought it was interesting that I switched back to my, I've got two different shots. I have the full screen and then I have the, obviously with me in it. That's interesting. I may have to test that maybe in a members live and kind of switch back and forth and see if maybe it's my program or YouTube. Yeah, no, there's nothing on the video right now. There's no sound on the video. It's just me. If you can hear me, that's fine. Okay, just thumbs up if you can hear me. It may not be trolls. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. But it could be on YouTube. I mean, does anybody know? Is this happening on any other channels? That would kind of help. Yeah, okay. So, all right. That's interesting. If you had to come back and come back in, then that may be more on YouTube's end then. Mods, if you can, maybe just put something, go back in, come back out. That must be something on YouTube then. That's such a shame. That is such a shame. Okay. Most people are saying there's sound. Okay. If mods can't, I know the chat's kind of going nuts. Most people can hear me. Went out and back in. Okay. So maybe let me do something real quick, guys. Just bear with me that can hear me. I'm going to post pin actually, mods, can somebody pin, go back, come back out, go out and come back in if you have no sound, and then I'll pin that at the top. Okay, yeah, just give me a second, guys. I just want to pin that at the top just in case if that happens again. Okay. Oh, there we go. Okay, thank you, Sassy. Thank you, Sassy. Perfect. Okay. Awesome. Awesome blossom. Okay. Perfect. Appreciate that. Okay, here we go. So, now that you guys, most of you guys can hear me. Oh, wrong pin. The chat's going really fast. Oh my gosh. Why? Oh, I did. Unpinned message. There we go. Okay. Here we go. All right, we're back on it, guys. Okay, so what you see here is ground penetrating radar. We brought them out. I believe. Oh shit! I should have looked at the company. It's like Tennessee GPR Services or something like that. So obviously we've been communicating with them for a little while now, and the reason that we were concerned about a particular area is because of where those vehicles, the video that I just played. So I'm going to go back here for just a second. Honor Secrets, I see it in here. She's very smart. She's an amazing woman. And I'm not going to go into too much detail today, although I'd love to have her explain maybe Honor Secrets, Carolyn, if maybe you could just share a little bit, but not too much, because I want to save that for a Patreons and members video. Also, due to the sensitivity of things as well, just in case Seth is looking. Yeah, and I obviously that goes right over my head, but anyway, but she is our kind of our ground penetrating radar. Well, she does ERI. She could explain it better. But she is an expert in this kind of field. So anyway, why we were looking into this in the first place is where these vehicles were at. Obviously, if you've been here and you know that there's all the activity that's going on the 25th and 26th. But what's really strange, and really odd
Relayed
is
with nighttime,
where the vehicles were at. And I was able to kind of narrow down pretty well where these vehicles were seen in this little window here on the 25th. And I told you guys how seeing one of the vehicles actually facing west, as if it was actually coming out of the grave site, was very, very concerning. So, and then on top of that, you have at least 3 vehicles, and we know that there's at least 2 different vehicles. There may be one that's seen twice, but we know that there's 3 vehicles seen between 3:32 and 3:49 on the 25th. Now, where they're at is in a very interesting location. And of course, when we started looking into this lead, we noticed that there was a person that was buried. Excuse me, I'm going to probably get the dates wrong. Now, if anybody knows the names, please do not put the names in the chat. It doesn't matter. The family already knows. So there's no need to dig that up and look at it. They already know. We already got permission from them. But there was a grave, a person that was buried just before Sebastian went missing. And I don't want to say a lot of times, but it seems like there's times after someone's buried that they leave kind of this loose sod and or what is it? Let me know in chat. Somebody else, KV probably has a better answer to that. But if I get a chance, I'll show you a picture. But they put something else on it. But anyway, the main thing is we were kind of worried that maybe, and again, trigger warning, that it's possible that maybe they were thinking of putting Sebastian on top of this gravesite, because it would have been a fresh grave, would have been fresh dirt, and a lot of times they haven't put the sod on back. They have something else that they put on there. And anyway, so we were heavily concerned because of the vehicles. And then, of course, right there, and I'll show you guys here in a little bit, we'll get a little bit deeper into it, that he could have been placed there. So we want to make sure, yeah, straw, dirt, seed, and straw. Thank you. Yeah. So anyway, along with where those vehicles were seen kind of coming out of, and then the fact that we learned that there's a a person that was buried, and I'll show you a little bit closer. I'm not going to show the name or anything, although of course anybody can look it up. But I just, please, there's no sense of putting the name in the chat. Again, the family already knows we got their permission and their blessing to do all of this, so no need to ask about that. And then, of course, we brought out a cadaver dog. And yeah, so now I'll tell you right now, the cadaver dog did not get any hits, but that doesn't mean there isn't any clues out there still. And even though the GPR guys did their stuff, we still need to look at the data as well. And that will probably explain more in a members and Patreons, and we'll go into why it's not so easy to find a person that is buried more at a shallower position as far compared to deeper. I know you'd think it'd be backwards. You would think if somebody was 2 feet versus 6 feet, the person that's 2 feet would be easier to see. I'm assuming it's because, and of course we have Unearthed Secrets in here that could explain it a lot better than I could, that there's probably less stuff to bounce off of when they're sending their signals down into the ground to get a picture. That would be my guess in layman's terms, but she would know more. But I would feel better if we kind of explain that further in a members and Patreons video, because again, that is kind of, a sensitive topic. And yes, Seth was out there, and we'll kind of get more into that here. But I want to do one thing real quick, because again, we're getting more and more people in here, and I'm sure there's people that are like, wait, what? Why are we doing all this? So here is just a quick recap, and then I'll get into more about how, in my opinion, with all that's just gone on, and again, this is just the starting, because we still got to look at the data, but I'm telling you, this is a very promising lead. Not just the gravesite thing, but just everything that's going on in the cemetery in general. So, we'll kind of explain more about that here in just a second. So I will get to Super Chats here in just a second. Let me quickly play the recap. I know a lot of you have seen it, but again, we've got a lot more new people in here. So we'll play this, just a 2-3 minute recap, and then we'll get more into kind of all the kind of theories and ideas, and then see what you guys think. And yeah.
Just beyond the construction site, a bright light was captured on surveillance. Figure out what was this light, where it was coming from, and how it connected to Roger's disappearance. And what we found will absolutely shock you.
Come down to where I'm sitting right here. So watch this. Of course, with my lights off, you can't see anything. If I turn my lights on, I can see just graves and grass. But imagine for a moment that somebody was there and said, hey, I can't see. Turn your high beams on. Of course, it opens up the whole area. I see more. And what do I see? The monument. And they're telling me they can see it on the camera, just like the footage we've been looking at. Boom!
Sebastian Rogers was last physically seen on camera leaving the Texas Roadhouse with his mother Katie Proudfoot on Feb 25th. Whether he actually made it home that night is highly debated, but what I have recently discovered on surveillance from a nearby camera in Rogers' neighborhood could hold the answers to what may have happened to Sebastian Rogers. Sebastian Rogers' home is located here. The surveillance camera that captured the suspicious activity is located approximately here, with 2 cameras pointed towards the east, overlooking the construction site and further. The suspicious activity seen on these cameras took place here at this cemetery and also school. Just after this suspicious light illuminates for approximately 6 minutes, a little before 3:30 a.m. At 3:32, a headlight of a vehicle can be seen moving south in the cemetery. This would not be the only vehicle seen that night. Another vehicle is seen at 3:45, and just 4 minutes later, another headlight is seen at 3:49. Although there is 2 cameras that overlook the entrance to the church and cemetery, as of now, there is no sign of these vehicles seen, entering or exiting, the only main entrance to the south. On the night Sebastian Rogers disappeared, the suspicious light can be seen again at around 3:40 a.m. It is illuminated for around 6 minutes, just like on the 25th. Then after it's done being illuminated, minutes later, multiple vehicles can be seen, driving in the cemetery and at the school. Once again, more suspicious activity the night Rogers went missing. So what is the object that is being illuminated for around 6 minutes on the 25th and 26th, and how could it be connected to Sebastian Rogers' disappearance? Here is a daytime shot from the surveillance camera where you can see the construction site. It is also overlaid with the nighttime shot of the suspicious light source. You can see how the suspicious light is just beyond the construction site in the cemetery. As Silver's on the scene, drives through the cemetery, you can see that the construction site is to his left. As he continues north, he is now in the middle of the cemetery, approaching a loop. As he turns right, you will notice what they call lumbry. This object is made out of highly reflective material, like concrete, granite, and marble. This memorial also sits at a slight tilt when viewing from the east, just like the object seen in the surveillance footage. Notice both objects are rectangular in shape. As you can see here, this memorial has no artificial lighting, not in the front or the back, so whatever caused this to be illuminated at 3 a.m. on the 25th and 26th had to have come from another light source, but what? The obvious answer would be headlights from a vehicle, but what we discovered about this answer would prove to be quite disturbing and shocking.
So that's part of the recap for anybody that's kind of newer in here. As I let this play, I'm going to catch up on super chats because I would lose my grifter status if I didn't do that. Okay, but as I let this play, this is a daytime, and you can actually see the columbrium from this footage at the daytime, and then I kind of faded into the nighttime. Deanna, Chris, will you be able to attend February 26th? I don't know. Most likely more than not, but you never know. But yeah, I would love to come out and meet all these wonderful locals that have come together. And I know it's not just locals coming together, obviously. But yeah, one day for sure. Medic Biker, welcome. And thank you so much for becoming a member. Sensei, and we would have gotten away. And we have gotten away with it too if it hadn't been for pesky Chris. As a quote. Appreciate that, Sensei. Chris, blessings to you. You are brilliant. Thank you so much, Holly. Sweetie says, so honored to be a part of the Mob Crew family. I appreciate that. God bless you. Tyler says, how's it going, man? Doing well. We're getting things done as a group, and it's so amazing. And again, I've told you guys, I backed up my word so far. There are phases to this, and we're just getting started. So thank you so much. Hey, Sugar. Lovely name. Thank you so much for the amazing support. Lisa, thank you so much for the $20 super chat. God bless you. Phoenix Moon, thank you so much for the membership. Oops. Kiki says, thanks, Chris, for your hard work and everyone involved. Thank you, Kiki. I know you send me, what you can, and it's much appreciated, Kiki. God bless you. And Tyler, thank you so much for becoming a member and supporting the channel. And, I know I said I'm going to do stuff for the members and Patreons. And eventually, it'll be explained. But I feel like some of the details, I feel better doing a Patreon members because it kind of, it's a sensitive topic. And, I know, we're trying to do this for Sebastian and, of course, Seth, to get him closure. And, of course, we hope that Sebastian's out there somewhere alive. But at the same time, we still got to look at all possibilities. And I know that, looking down some of these routes can be very, again, I can't ever put myself in Seth's shoes. And, that's tough. It's really tough. But Seth was out there today. I'm not going to say too much, just other than that he was out there. And, hopefully with the answers we got, that gives him some closure on, certain things. But there's still a lot more work to be done, and we'll kind of go over the results. I told you the K9 cadaver dogs did not get a hit. So again, you can look at that two ways. At least he's not in there, and we've crossed something off. And the person that we brought out, no, it wasn't Jules. This guy is very good. His dog is amazing. And maybe I can get a little bit more information about him and talk about what he's done, and maybe the special shows I'll do for the Patreon and members. But yeah. And this is what's amazing about him is that with the cadaver dog guy, canine handler, all he asked for was just room and board, right? So he was really just $250, and that really is just for a hotel room for the night. And of course, we have to get one that allows dogs. And then he had to kind of come from I can't remember how many hours he had to drive, but he did have to drive a fairly distance, so that's gas money, and then amenities, food, stuff like that. But literally, more or less, other than room and board, he's really doing this for free. So I feel like, and again, we'll address this on like Wednesday or Thursday when we start to kind of get more into the receipts and stuff. I feel, in my opinion, and again, we'll talk about it on the Wednesday or Thursday, I feel like we should, send him $100 tip or something like that. We can discuss it and come up as a group. But, even though the $250 was for him at the room and board, again, like I said, he's really doing this for free. So I think, in my opinion, we should tip the guy. I'm seeing some funny chats. But anyway. So, kind of going back to why we looked at this, right?
Seen here is another daytime shot, overlaid with nighttime.
And I know I just played this, but this is after the recap. And I'll just play this one more time, and then we're going to get a little bit more into the GPR and what the results were. And then you guys need to kind of understand you know, about their background and stuff, and then why we're going to get the data from them. And so, anyway, I want to jump ahead, but let me play this part again because, again, this is important to why we went this direction, at least in one of the directions that we were curious about, because there was enough there that I think, couldn't be overlooked, in my opinion.
Where you can see the memorial to the right, and in the yellow box is where we see headlights from a vehicle. But what's interesting is the fact that the vehicle seen at 3:45 a.m. has its headlights facing west on a part of the road that goes north and south. Also, this vehicle appears to be in the middle of the loop on the west end of the cemetery in this location. Shown here is the exact location the headlights were seen. Notice how the road isn't very wide. I also figured out that the headlights captured at 3:45 and 3:49 a.m. are at two different heights seen here. Notice when putting a static line in same spot, one light is higher up than the other one, meaning there were at least two different vehicles driving around the cemetery on the night before Sebastian Rogers disappeared on the 25th. So what were they doing, and how did the memorial site light up?
There it is.
And so this part that I'm gonna go back to full screen here. This kind of correlates to the reason that we did one of the tests and brought the GPR out for this particular grave site, is because of the control test that Silvers did, the evidence with the footage, all of that combined is why we, felt like there was enough there. And again, this was a big group to kind of come together, brainstorm, in that we felt like, yeah, this needs to be looked into.
What do you see now?
During the control tests, Silvers on the scene and others tried many different things to illuminate the memorial in the same way we saw it on surveillance. But every test, including driving next to it, parking near it, using headlights and other objects such as flashlights, just would not create that same illumination effect until on day 2, Silvers on the scene did this.
Okay, to document where I'm at, come in the cemetery this way, go around, it loops around. I took the turn right here and
During Silver's control test, he parked on the west end, in the middle of the loop, seen here on this map. He had turned his car towards the memorial. When doing this, he figured he would try and turn on his high beams, as nothing so far had worked up to this point. Upon doing this, he illuminated the memorial just as it was seen in the surveillance. Here was his reaction.
Okay, to document where I'm at, come in the cemetery this way, go around, it loops around. I took the turn right here and I've come down to where I'm sitting right here. So watch this. Of course, when my light's off, you can't see anything. If I turn my lights on, I can see just graves and grass. But imagine for a moment that somebody was there and said, hey, I can't see. Turn your high beams on. Of course, it opens up the whole area. I see more. And what do I see? The monument.
Now, shown in this footage here is a gravesite that's very close to this road and close to where Silvers is at. Again, please don't put the name in the chat. Again, as I said before, the family knows we had their full permission and blessing. We had it in writing and all of that. That's why we were able to do this.
And they're telling me they can see it on the camera, just like the footage we've been looking at. Boom!
This spot Silvers is sitting at is the same spot where the two vehicles seen on the 25th were exactly positioned. And what's even more crazy is the fact that one of the vehicles at 3:45 a.m. appeared to have come out of the gravesite in that same spot Silvers was parked, as if they had been backed in, then pulled out and turned south.
So to us, it almost appeared as if they were, and I'm going to skip this forward here. We'll come back to this here in just a minute. Okay. So, as you can see, it appeared that they were sitting up there with,
Then this
some kind of
vehicle
high
leaves.
beam or something, lighting up the Columbrium for 6 minutes. And then, of course, that happens on both nights, the 25th and the 26th. And again, what's very interesting is you have the one car, at least one out of the 3 vehicles, looking like they're coming directly out of the gravesite, as if they were like backed in. And there is an area over here. It's a little bit, I think it's a little bit more over here if I'm correct. Yes. There is. Now keep in mind when they went out there, I think there's been a little bit, maybe one extra headstone, but back then there was definitely room for the headstone that we were interested in. And again, if you're just coming in, there was a person that was buried days before Sebastian went missing. And it was just so interesting. So here it is. There is that gap, as you can see. And then the other thing that I found so interesting with this footage here, let's see if I can slow it down here. I'm going to pause it here in just a second. As you can see, one of the nice things about seeing this video here is you can see all the trees and foliage and all that bushes and stuff. It's pretty consistent up and down this west end of the loop here. Let me just kind of go to this screen. For the most part, it's pretty blocked, but there is, even though it doesn't really appear in this window, except I guess it kind of shows right here, which is actually kind of interesting. But right here is where there's an area, as you can see, our window of where we see those vehicles. And that is where that gravesite where that person was recently buried. Which, again, that's a lot of coincidences, a lot of connections. And there was a lot of people that behind the scenes that knew this and felt like, this needs to be taken, seriously, and we need to get them out there to look at this, right? I hope you guys would agree, if you guys fully understand what we're saying, that yes, one of these gravestones here, again, there's a perfect area to back in and plenty of area to come out, and you would see those 2 headlights as they were turning south. And again, you see multiple vehicles right here on the 25th. So a theory was, did they know about this and decide, well, maybe we could, since it's a fresh grave, and the soil would obviously be soft and easy, we could perhaps, and again, I don't want to get too detailed, but place Sebastian on top, right? And you could also even look at it, evidence, right? There's multiple ways to look at this, but we felt like you should at least make sure, right? So we did. We went out with the cadaver dogs this morning. They searched this area and a few others. And again, like I said, did not get a hit. So, you can look at it 2 ways. At least we now can cross that off, even though, there was no hit. It's something that at least now we know. And then we did the GPR. Let me get back over to the. Oh, that's where I slowed it down. Okay. Forgot I ended that in twice. So there we go. We'll pause it there. So that's why we thought we would bring in GPR, which went over the grave, and because the way they do it, they kind of extend out. And so they did do their GPR tests. Now, again, this is why I'll have a special thing for the patrons and members. And we will talk about it eventually. But again, I feel like it's kind of a little more sensitive. But if there was somebody in that ground, in this potential theory, hypothetical theory, right? Even though they did do their test, keep in mind, these guys are experts, but they are kind of more trained in looking for gas lines and other stuff. I'm sure Unearthed Secrets could probably correct me. Not to discount that they're professionals, but if there was hypothetically a body that's above and it's closer to the ground, it is actually much harder to see, and you would need to have an expert look at the data. Now, we don't get that from these guys. We have somebody prepared if we can get the proper data to them. And so, again, although they said that they didn't see anything, they saw the vaults, which is obviously, the coffin vaults. There's still, more stuff to look at in that sense, right? So we will look at that just to make sure, to be 100%, right? Because they did cost $1,100 to come out. So it would be good to make sure that we look at that 100%. Sorry, just reading chat here. Good to see you, Lakeside Lawyer. And let's see. Been getting caught up in chat. There's got 1,200 people in here. So here's our expert here. You'd want a person familiar with burials and cemeteries to look at the data if they do utilities. There's certain things cemetery experts know from experience. So again, that is our expert, and we have one or two that hopefully they're supposed to send some data to us, and again, that's in the works. And we will have hopefully get the proper data from them, and again, make sure, because like I said, I want to get too detailed, but it is much harder to see someone that is more closer to the ground than they are if they were deeper. And I know again, for laymen, you would think that would be backwards, but so that's why we would want, kind of like a second opinion, when you, like a doctor's, so that is our other goal. But I just want to say, even though, there wasn't anything found today, this was a huge win, in my opinion, for so many reasons. But I can't get specific, but from how to say this, we want to understand we have a good lead, if that makes sense. I know that's kind of vague, but basically the cemetery, the action going on in the cemetery is big. It's a big lead, big potential lead. I should say big potential lead, because there certainly could have been a handoff, right? So again, this is not not a failure. We're crossing something off that I think a lot would agree. If we broke everything down, there's more details that I'm leaving out that I'll bring into the Patreon and members, but to fully understand why, we did this particular search. But I'm telling you, no matter what the answers were, or the results were, this was a big win in my opinion, because through all this, and again, I can't get too specific, probably in the future, as I always say, I usually back that up, but from hearing from the grapevine, this is a decent lead. So that is a huge deal for us. That's a great question, Jessica. That's a great question. And let me get caught up in chat for just a second here. Jocelyn gifted a Mob Crew membership. Thank you so much, sweetheart, for the support and everything you've done for this channel. Lori, thank you so much for the $10 super chat. God bless you. Thank you so much. Holly, being a member, and the $2.99 super chat. Thank you so much, Holly. Very happy. Thank you so much for the membership. And Virginia, thank you for the $1.99 and the membership. And we have Joanne Marie. Why then and there, heart and gut wrenching? Yes. Yeah, because when you look at this in a whole, at a whole, the fact that you have 2 days of more or less the same things going on, in my opinion, shows, and a lot of people agree, that this was, like, on the 25th was some kind of, dry run of whatever, a potential of abducting Sebastian or moving him. And then the 26th was the execution of that. If they did not put him there, put him somewhere in that cemetery. But I think, at the very least, we need to cross off, certain things in the cemetery. That way we can say, okay, look, we did this. Now, okay, what's next? Where can we move on from there? And, thank you, Rachel, for the PayPal or Venmo. I hate it. I got this new phone and I got to figure it out. It doesn't. Yeah, I'll have to. Maybe I. Yeah. Anyway, but thank you, Rachel, so much for the donation. So anyway, I will try to answer some questions here and what's coming next. Let's see. Let me play just a little bit of the 26 here. Because there are, and again, I've told you guys, there are some other new things that I believe I've discovered. Such as the, light over at the south part of the cemetery. And there are some other lights, but again, I don't want to say, oh, hey, look at this. This is interesting. And then not be able to explain, okay, if this is actually something or if this is just some kind of, again, a lot of these lights in the background that are on, they flicker a lot. And I don't know if that's just the wind, or if that's a car driving by and it's reflecting off, or a combination, or there's more to it. But yeah. So I'm going to play this real quick. And then if you have some questions, I will try to answer what I can. But I want to definitely try to save some stuff for the members and Patreons. And then, yeah. So, yep. And we'll have some more video of the GPR and Cadaver dog coming soon as well.
Before we put all the pieces together, let's go over the night of the 26th. Sometime around 3:10 a.m., the suspicious flashlights in Rogers' neighborhood are seen along with an unknown vehicle doing a 3-point turn. Not long after, activity at the cemetery begins to happen, where we see the memorial light up again for 6 minutes. During this same time, we then see a vehicle at the school near the stadium, first heading north at 3:47 a.m. Near the same time the memorial is just beginning to fade out, seen here in this overhead view. A few moments later, we then see that same vehicle head south at 3:49, just minutes after the memorial is no longer illuminated. Then literally 2 minutes later, we see another vehicle heading south, leaving the cemetery at 3:51. We first see this vehicle in the cemetery located here in this overhead view. Then a few moments later, we can see it exiting the church parking lot at 3:53 a.m. This vehicle was seen on 2 different cameras exiting the church and cemetery. Keep in mind, this is the only time we have seen a vehicle enter or exit the church and cemetery around this time frame on 25th and 26th. Now, what are the chances that 2 different vehicles would be seen exiting the cemetery and school 2 minutes apart at around 4 a.m. in the morning the night Sebastian Rogers disappeared?
So you could look at that.
Sebastian Rogers.
Oops, sorry. So you could also look at that. Sorry.
The memorial is just beginning to fade out, seen here in this overhead view. A few moments later, we then see that same vehicle head south at 3:49, just minutes after the memorial is no longer illuminated. Then literally 2 minutes later, we see another vehicle heading south, leaving the cemetery at 3:51. We first see this vehicle in the cemetery located here in this overhead view. Then a few moments later, we can see it exiting the church parking lot at 3:53 a.m.
Now this is important. So now we could look at a theory that maybe he wasn't placed in there, right? And think that, there's still a possibility he's still out there somewhere, right? And I pray on everything that, Seth is reunited with Sebastian Rogers. And you could say that this, because this is on the 26th, right? The morning he went missing, this would have been a handoff. And here's what's interesting is that the cemetery, the church, and then I'll get to some questions and stuff. But what's interesting is the church here has a camera, thanks to a certain person that may be watching. There's a camera here that looks towards the cemetery. Yep, this way here. And then I believe there's also a camera somewhere fixated here that overlooks here. So there's clearly a vehicle coming through on the 26th. And maybe you could say that, when they were originally looking for Sebastian and maybe looking at surveillance footage, they were just trying to look for a kid wandering around and wasn't really paying attention to the vehicles. So, with this new lead, you could say that they could not only go back to the 26th and, look at this particular car that leaves out there, but as well as that, they could look on the 25th And, let's see here. I mean, we know that there's some kind of light activity going here. So depending on the angle of the camera, how wide it is, and then of course the Columbrian being right here, and then vehicles up here that are literally driving down to the Y, that we call this the Y right here. You can see Y. And maybe they never even thought about looking at the 25th. So now, hopefully law enforcement has already, because we've sent this over weeks ago now, and hopefully they're looking at this footage again with a new perspective, right? And this could be just the beginning of a whole new lead that, leads to one thing to another and a domino effect and so on, which would be amazing. So there's, again, even though there was no cadaver hit or, no hits from the cadaver dog, and GPR results, I would say, are pending, even though they didn't see anything. That's still not 100%, because again, it's really tricky with the GPR, and that is something we'll get more into in a members and Patreon video. No members tonight. I'm really tired because I was up early because I knew this was going to be going down, and we were kind of keeping an eye on things, making sure, because we wanted to keep this very tight-lipped, so that way these professionals could go and do their thing unencumbered, with looky-loos or, God knows, fish sticks coming out there, or whatever. So yeah. So anyway, so there's a lot of potential in this, and from what I understand, after this went down, it seems like this is a decent lead. So let me see if I can get to some questions.
This vehicle was seen on 2 different cameras exiting the church and cemetery. Keep in mind, this is the only time we have seen a vehicle enter or exit the church and cemetery around this time frame on 25th and 26th.
3D. So footage of search, etc. shows.
Now, what are the chances that 2 different vehicles would be seen exiting the cemetery and school 2 minutes apart at around 4 a.m. in the morning the night Sebastian Rogers disappeared? Or Sebastian Rogers.
I think I get what you're saying. Oops, I messed something up here. Here we go. Yeah,
I was able to figure out which vehicle.
I think you're saying that. Yeah, you can go down there with the 3D.
I did this by noticing that one.
Yeah, there's. I think what she's saying is you can go down and get into like a 3D model, if that's what you're talking about. Like on the ground almost like on Google or Google Maps, I should say. Yeah, all to make it look like something happened. I see what you're saying, me and you, and you know what? Anything's possible, and I wouldn't put it past them, right? Yeah, no, I don't do the panel stuff, Siggy. I appreciate the offer. I don't. I don't know where we'd get with that kind of conversation, especially after seeing the way they act on other panels. I can't see an adult conversation happening, in my opinion. So Paige, the law enforcement reach out for results. So of course we will send all of that to them, right? They knew what was going down this morning. They knew ahead of time. Anything we know, as far as something like this, they're notified. Sumner County, so they knew. Oh, I appreciate that, Michael. Yeah, and again, this is just the beginning. You can see how upset they were. Like I said, I know, we don't want to give them attention for all the stuff that they're doing in these last lives on the Krama channels. But to me, again, we're, as some people have mentioned in the chat, it's like, where's the thanks? We raised this money for Sebastian. We're using it, responsibly with leads. And I can tell you, without getting too, again, and I know people hate when you say, there's a little bit more I know, but I can't say. But in time, I usually can back that up most of the time, unless it has to be just kept confidential. But from what I understand, just this lead in general is pretty big. Now, does that mean that that's going to break the case? No, but right now, I think it's a huge lead. I don't think so. But I think they knew that if there was any kind of sign, any, hits or anything, they would have been notified again to say, hey, get your booty out here, because obviously if we were to find anything, we stop and then let them take over. So, yeah. Yeah, if you want to send that to me. Did our dog do that? No. They came close to that. Let's see where but no, they did not do this pond. Obviously we had our areas that we, were interested in, and of course we only have them for a certain amount of time. So unfortunately, no, of course, again, this is only the beginning, and if we get proper leads that require that kind of asset, then yeah, we would, want to try to bring them out. Ah, that's interesting. So KV says that pond, the triangle pond here, has been drained and sodded in the past month. So I guess if he was in there, then I think they would have found something. I would hope, if he was there. Right, Brenda. Exactly. They make fun of surveillance footage. And again, the most thing where I feel like I'm in the Twilight Zone is you go back to the fact that you go over to sorry, trying to find it here. Their claim, right? And then you have the scent dog. And then of course we're we're looking right next door, right? But yet they think this is, a joke, right? So it's like, are we in the Twilight world? Like, so anyway. Oh yeah, I don't want. I appreciate that. Yeah, and again, it's not just me. Keep in mind, this is a group effort. Federal property. I am not sure. Federal property. And I don't know if you're kind of referring to the part of what SF released about. I think he mentioned something about federal, but I don't know if that was. Let's see here. And this is what's interesting. Again, I have no idea if this is true because there's no video or photo evidence. I would think, to me, in my mind, so this happened allegedly last year in April. And we know how he loves to just be all over Twitter when he's done something, right? I do not understand why this would be confidential, right? Unless it was like a lead, right? Like a big potential lead that needs to be first investigated, and then once it's cleared, then then there should be no reason to have it confidential. But he says that there's a few areas where allegedly the area was determined to be positive for human decomposition odor. I would love to know what is law enforcement going to have to respond to this, because again, people are going to take off with this. But let's just say in a hypothetical, if this part was true, especially at the construction site, well, this is right next door to where we're looking. So again, you'd think that this would be big for what we discovered. It would kind of collaborate with what they allegedly discovered. But again, I have no idea if this is ever took place or not. From what I understand, he just put this together. He wasn't there. So I find it a little suspicious. And Holly, and I find it so fascinating, so interesting. Think about the timing. We do this fundraiser, right? We do this fundraiser, say that we're going to go out and, conduct some tests. And then all of a sudden, within a couple of days, a leaked document, a document gets leaked. Is that just a coincidence? Just another one of the many, many coincidences? Or is it like he's trying to take attention, like, look, we're still looking, even though this happened over a year ago. I just wanted to remind you guys that we're still looking, but that was last year, it's almost been a whole year. Like, so what have you done since then? Right? Yeah, again, oh yeah, that's over by the lake. Okay, that makes sense, Sarah. Yeah, I think that makes much more sense. Because allegedly in this report they did the dam and the the other stuff, again, I haven't really looked at it because, again, we've had so much going on today and obviously in the past week getting all this together. And yes, if we can, please try to be careful with what you say. None of my mods want to, delete a comment. They don't want to be bad guys. I'm not saying that means they're bad guys. They just out of respect for Seth and stuff. Because I know that's kind of tough when we're talking about this particular thing right now. But I feel like we just kind of need to air it out. And then obviously because, people came together to pay for this. And we wanted to give you guys the results. And again, this is only in the beginning because there's still more things that we can do. And I want to save some of those ideas for a future live. Not just members only, but again, we'll talk about. So there's so many more roads to go down with this. Designs by two. There's CCTV program in Tennessee, and residents give consent to law enforcement access specific date and time on CCTV. The residents upload it. There was a lot of homes and businesses law enforcement can access. I love it. I love it. Yeah, you never know what you may have captured, because again, I think we mentioned this last live. There's, even though before it used to be like we'd look for businesses or gas stations or whatever for surveillance. Well, now it's just like just about every other home has, a Ring camera or, surveillance all around their home. So yeah, you've got so much more. That's why I say it's just a matter of time. This was on TikTok, not blanked out by a lady. Yeah, again, if I get any of the details wrong as far as the whole SF thing, correct me. I have no idea. I just, yeah. That's the crazy thing, Lexi, right? He is always like him, and again, he is the extension of Crispy and KK, and then here we are, just right next door, right there. You could throw a rock from where you're saying you think he went, and this is all a joke to you guys. So it's crazy. I agree, Amateur Pause. I agree. And the dam and lake is federal. Okay, that makes sense. But yeah, just to reiterate, law enforcement will obviously get the reports from this. And of course, everything that I've found up till now, as far as surveillance goes, has all been said to them. Every time I find something new, I quickly make a, depending on how much activity I found, I put something together. I send it to a certain contact who has, contacts in law enforcement, and then that gets sent over. And yeah. So, but all I can say is, even though, there wasn't anything found yet, this lead in general with the cemetery, from what I understand, is still a big lead, a big potential lead. Let me be specific, which is interesting because, again, this is just the 26th, and you've got a lot of cars. And then also, you know, you have the two vehicles. So we talked about the church. We also have the vehicles at the school, both on the 25th and the 26th. So you could say the same thing, that again, maybe when they looked at the surveillance, because I know there's cameras over here at the school. Matter of fact, we could actually go and look at them. Hey, look, Crispy, look, I'm walking with you. I'm walking with you. What do you want to show me, Crispy? Look. See, look, I can see everything just fine. I don't need you, buddy. It's called Google Earth, Google Maps. Check it out, man. But if you're an expert in surveillance and you've been holding out on me, man, shame on you. Why are you holding out? Anyway, oh, maybe we can't get back in there. Maybe we need Mr. E and Mr. and Mrs. E's. But this is where the vehicles would be in and out. And of course, I think there's at least 3 to 4 cameras kind of on this side. And that is, again, vehicles are seen on the 25th and 26th. So, again, did they only look on the 26th and not realize that you have activity not only at the cemetery, but at the school as well on the 25th and 26th that you may have overlooked? So now they're looking at that as well. Yeah, I'd love to have Honor Secrets come out, but the timings just wasn't right. Stars didn't align this time, but hopefully we can get enough information. No, me and you, and we'll probably go over that in the members and Patreons, but I will give you a little bit. Let me get the picture. And again, I'll have some video, some edited video for the members and Patreons. But they did do a fairly big area. Even though it's not that big, it's still, yes, they did kind of cover a particular area. So, yes, they did. I agree, Dutch. 100%. 100%. Yes, Kiki. He did. He did. And you will be able to see some of that. Probably I should probably be able to have the members and Patreon video out tomorrow. If not, it'll be Wednesday morning. Nope, you're here. We see you, and we're glad you are praying for him to be alive and well. And we really do. We really, really do. Hey, Donna. Good to see you. How certain are you that they are actually looking? As in they. I'm not sure. Are you talking about Crispy and them or SF? I have little faith in if that's who you're talking about because SF would be posting that all over. Look what I did. Look what I did. Look what I did. Mob Cruiser Grifter, look what I did. That's what I expect. And that's what I expect for the next 2 months or whatever, or for at least the next month until the anniversary, and then he'll move on to another case. But I expect for the next month and a half, it will be a bunch of childish tweets. And yeah. April Train, thank you so much for becoming a member. God bless you. Thank you so much for the support. If you sent it via PayPal or Venmo, if it said it went through, then I definitely should have gotten it. Now, right now, I am just worried about the donations. Again, we'll get into the donations Thursday because I need to get all the receipts together. I'm going to worry about the fundraiser, the donations, the 55 donations that went through. We're going to worry about those first. Get that taken care of. And then for those Venmos and PayPals, we'll get those worked in. I don't want to kind of like, I've got to get that figured out, in the best way possible. Yes, as always, of course, I am super grateful to everybody that donated to the fundraiser, and of course, anybody that's donated to the channel. Let's see here. Oh, we got more. Little Miss Sharon, thank you so much for the gifted Mob Crew membership. If you did get gifted, if you could thank that person, that would be awesome. Gabby Miss, thank you so much for becoming a member. Georgia Girl, thank you so much for the $1.99. God bless you, sweetheart. Cloud storage is a gift that keeps on giving. Yeah, it is. At the same time, I feel like it's a double-edged sword. I've had my own issues with it. But thank you so much. Georgia Girl, thank you so much for the $2.99. And Georgia Girl, thank you so much for the $1.99. I appreciate that. Lynette. Oh, there it is. This room amazes me. I pray that this will be solved. Don't ever stop, Chris. You are amazing. God bless. Oh, that's the 1990. Okay, I see it. Okay, now we're on chat. Now we're on the right page. And I think I got April Train and Georgia Girl. Thank you so much for becoming a member as well. Okay. They did. See, I don't know all the exact areas because I wasn't there, but the K9 searched a pretty good portion of the areas of the cemetery that we felt were the highest probability. And remember, even if the dog didn't was in a certain area, remember they can smell decomposition from quite a ways away. I forget all the details and numbers and distance, but so keep in mind, just because they may be in one area, if there's something that's like 40 or 50 feet away, I think they would pick up on that, if that makes sense. So do keep that in mind. The best thing I do is I just turn it around on them, right? And then document the threats, right? Because again, you never know. I'm just saying a hypothetical. The one thing I don't know if they realize, let's just say in a hypothetical that the people we assume may be responsible, let's say they have, maybe they haven't found Sebastian, but they feel like they have enough evidence, but they need to get a indictment. So then you have a grand jury hearing. Well, I would be shocked if some of the clips, some of the highlights from Crispy and KK on these channels, I'd be shocked if some of those weren't played at a grand jury hearing. Let me know your thoughts in chat. And or if there was a trial. I would be absolutely shocked. Yeah, I always have to take the negative out of the negative out of you always got to take the positive, what you can, out of, the situation. We crossed it off, right? But there's still, again, like I said, it's not completely over with the GPR, right? And again, we'll get into that in the Patreons and members, and I promise you, it will be very interesting. But I just feel like that would be better suited for a more private audience just because of the sensitive nature of that, right? Yeah. That's why when I see these people do what they do, I'm like, and let's just say, hypothetically, they were involved. It just tells me these people aren't career criminals, right? You would think that they would be trying to think everybody and anybody, behind, and the fact that they made fun of Silvers, again, I don't want to get to me, but it's just like, that guy doesn't even live in Tennessee. He comes out on his own accord, spends gas money, all that, and goes into these different places to search for, and I'm just speaking on Katie behalf and Seth, but Katie, searching for your son in these wooded areas or muddy areas or rivers or whatever, or creeks, whatever, and they made fun of him. And it just, shame on you guys. It shows you just do not care, and you guys can't read the room. Oh, I'm not afraid at all. I mean, yeah. Do I look worried? Trust me. I've been on YouTube for 4 years. I'm not saying like I'm some seasoned expert, but this is not the first time this kind of stuff's happened. It's just, it brings out the crazies, man. It's just wild. Yeah, again, I hate to give them any attention, but it's disgusting. And then the last thing I'm going to do, and then finish up here, guys. And again, there's a lot more, and just kind of depending. Wednesday or Thursday, we'll kind of start to bring in the receipts, even though the only ones that are entitled to see these receipts are the ones that donated. Can't believe they would have the goal to act like they are entitled to see the receipts. You can kiss my ass. But of course, people would not donate to me if I didn't have a rapport with my audience. So, and they can't stand that, right? So, anyway, thank you, Heidi, for becoming a member. And again, there's so much more to go over, but again, it's been a big day, and I'm not gonna lie, I'm tired. I slept on my left arm wrong, and it has been like I pinched a nerve in it, and it has been numb almost the entire day. It's starting to calm down now, but like I could barely grab anything with it because that nummy, like weird nummy, tingly feeling, and yeah, so it's bugged me all day, but it's starting to go away. But anyway. Right, girl mom. That's a great point. Yeah, remember, Jennifer Cadaver said if you get threats, that means you're barking up the right tree. Or shall we say lights? There you go. Oh, and one last thing. I just want to remind people. I know we were kind of talking about, I think on the last live, about making, some t-shirts and maybe doing a fundraiser that way. I love the idea. There's nothing more than I would love to have a t-shirt that says it was garbage truck lights, or something like that. I think that's amazing. And I know I've had some people email me about that, wanting to get that started, and that is amazing. But I just want to tell you, I don't want to get overloaded, and I really don't want to have like 2 different fundraisers going on. I want to kind of do one thing at a time. So, it'd be great to maybe kind of start to get ideas going, and we could have a members live where we could look at different slogans and we could do a vote on different artwork and stuff. It's kind of slowly work up to that, but I just want to let those people know that that's something I kind of want to take some time on, because right now I want to make sure we get what people donated, get those funds, what hasn't been used, figured out what we're going to use the leftovers for, and that everybody's in agreement with that, and then go from there. Yeah, it's all trash trucks. Yeah, it's all trash trucks. Those damn trash trucks, man. They have no boundaries. I tell you, they have no boundaries. Going through the cemetery at 3 o'clock in the morning. Shame on them. Queen Bee, I really appreciate it. Believe me, I'm not scared of that guy. I'd be more afraid of the nuts that are attached to this than Crispy himself, because that would be the dumbest thing for him to actually do something. But yeah, there's a reason I'm, private. So, and again, I'm not local out there. So, but I do appreciate, the concern. Oh, thank you so much, Dreamin'. I appreciate that. I agree, Emma. I agree. All right, guys. I tried to get as much comments as I could. I'm sorry if I didn't get to everybody's. Again, when you have 1,000 people in here, I'm just one person. I appreciate everybody being very respectful in the chat. And of course, thank you to my wonderful mods, because that's a lot of work for how many people we had in here. So members and Patreons, if not tomorrow, it should be out Wednesday morning. And then just kind of depends on the receipts and stuff. That'll either be done Wednesday or Thursday. And of course, I'll let you guys know, through the Facebook group and stuff when we do that. Because I'm sure we'll have those people out there with their calculators and, their notes, right? Because that's more important than Sebastian, right? If I misspend $1 or if a dollar's missing, they're going to turn that into a video. So anyway, it is an absolute twilight zone that I'm in right now. Thank you guys. All right. Yep, and prayers for Seth. And of course, you guys are amazing. Thank you so much for the love and support. I'll do the new. I've got 2 pet outros right now. I'm gonna do the new one that I made. I'll start rotating them, right? And then I know some new people have sent some pet pictures in. I try to do it once a month, so that way we just kind of get them all together. So we'll kind of work on that in a week or so, because obviously I've got so much, bigger stuff right now going on. So yeah. So with that, we will see you guys Wednesday or Thursday. Bring your calculators. And members of Patreons, look out for video Tuesday night or Wednesday morning. God bless you guys. Much love. Be safe.
Call the secrets from your